Thinking of buying the V3000S Maultier half-track in 1/35th scale from ICM? Well, before you rush off to your favourite retailer, be that in the real world or online, why not join me and have a peek in the box to see what you get for your money right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi, I'm Gary and welcome to this peek in the box of the V3000S Maultier half-track transporter in 1/35th scale from ICM. This kit was sent to me by ICM as a review sample, but they, like you, just want an honest opinion of it, and that's what they, like you, are going to get. If you like the video, you can support the channel for free by giving it a thumbs up on the like button below and by subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of all my future content. Links to other ways to support the channel are in the information box below. So here we have the box of the V3000S Maultier in 1/35th scale from ICM. The model kit number is 35410. 35 means it's 1/35th scale kit. Full name, V3000S SSM Maultier Einheitsfahrerhaus. This means simplified driver's cab in German. World War II German truck, indeed it was. It was manufactured in Cologne, the Ford plant in Cologne. It's 1/35th scale, as we have mentioned. It's from ICM, as we know, and it is proudly made in Ukraine. On this side, we have a history of the truck here. It's actually quite an interesting history. About 14,000 of these were made with the half-track. The box contains an unassembled plastic model kit. The length, when complete, is 182 millimeters. The height is 76 millimeters. Well, should that be width? I don't know. Includes 313 parts, quite a lot of parts for a relatively small kit. They suggest it's for model makers of 14 years or older. That's because some of the parts are very, very small. And there's a reprise of the scale and model kit number here. On the other long side, there are drawings of 3 of the schemes. This is the winter scheme in the Eastern campaign against Russia. You can see it's got, suggesting it's actually underneath it's green, but then it's got all this white sort of daub over the top that's wearing off, which is quite cool. This is the standard original, and then this is a later camouflage one, which is what the kit is on the front. On this end is a simple reprieve of the information and the box art, and the same at this end, except it's vertical so that it can be stored on a shelf like so, and you can get all the information without having to bend your head to one side to read it, which is jolly good. So let's have a look inside the box and see what you get for your money. As is perfect normal with ICM kits, the coloured printed cover comes off the top. Then there is a front hinged cover, like so, to reveal all the parts. The parts come in this single big cellophane bag. We'll have a look at all these in a minute. There's a smaller cellophane bag on the inside with the small number of clear parts. There is, of course, the instruction leaflet. The instruction leaflet contains somewhere within it, a decal sheet, and there's also a sheet talking about ICM's own paint range. I have to say, a lot of these paints are very, very good. So let's have a look at all of the components in more detail. Here we have frame A, and it is largely involving transmission and engine parts. A few other bits and pieces. This is the instrument cluster for the cab. Lots and lots of little bits and pieces that go under or in the vehicle, and these are the 2 main chassis rails here. Actually, they're quite easy to miss because they're part of the outer frame design, which is kind of quite clever, I guess, really. Anyway, that's frame A. Frame B, and these are the components of the cab, the outer skin of the cab at the front end. Rear panels, side panels, running boards, radiator grills, and so on and so forth. This is frame C, and this is the flatbed. Again, the side panels of the flatbed are actually part of the outer frame rim, which is an interesting piece of design. Kind of like a space-efficient piece of design, really. Lots of wheels, lots of these, and some of these springs you won't need because, of course, this is a half track. So it's only the two front wheels that you actually need for this kit. Then we have frame E, and as you can see, this is the link and length track layout and all of the running gear for the tracks, as well as suspension and drive wheels, running wheels, and so on and so forth, involved with the half track side of things. Then there's frame H, which is another cab system. This is the simplified cab that you actually need for the kit. So the cab base, the holes for the pedals and so on, the simplified front end and radiator, grille and instrument cluster and so on and so forth. So this is just for this Einheitsfahrerhaus simplified driving cab version. There is also frame G here, which are the transparencies. These are for the front lamps, and obviously these are for the windows for the cab area. Looking at the plastic itself, it's typical ICM plastic. Actually got quite a nice feel to it. The mouldings are nice and sharp. These radiator grills are looking very good. The fins, rather, on the radiator assembly are looking good. The radiator grill here, nice and crisp edges. The instrument cluster here, there is a decal for the instruments, of course, and you could paint them on yourself, could dry brush this and paint it if you wanted to increase the sort of visibility, really. There's really nothing more to say, I guess, on these parts. I mean, they look nicely molded, they look sharply molded, and the plastic looks pretty good as well. I'm, generally speaking, very happy. Even the larger parts here, you can see a couple of temperature things here where the molds coming in here and from here, and they've met up, and there's a slight mismatch of temperature. But you can't feel this on here at all. You can't see any problems with it. The backs of the pieces, yes, there's some ejection pins here. These, if you're going to do an open door, you'll need to file these down because they do stand a bit proud. So at least they're not. You don't have to fill them first and then sand them. You can just sand these ones down and you'll be fine. Other than that, generally speaking, the mouldings are very nice. Again, looking at the link and length track system, the mouldings are quite clear. These are going to take a lot of time. Link and length does take time. Who are we kidding? Link and length takes a lot of time to do. But everything looks nice and sharp. The drive wheels here look good. Some of the suspension coil springs here. There's just an awful lot of them. That's the thing about link and length. There are a lot of them. This is part of the drivetrain, obviously, or differential. Yeah. But again, the pieces look nice. As the prop shaft here and part of the exhaust. Nothing looks flashy. Nothing looks untoward. Nothing looks unsharp. It all looks jolly nice. The connectors are a very ICM thing to do. On the connector ends, where you connect together the bits of the exhaust, they sort of split them in half, so you can try and make a proper joint between them. Again, up here, there's like it's sort of put in half, so you can sort of butt them together like a butt joint quite nice, almost like a tenon joint, I guess. So it makes it easier to align them and to make them look one piece. And that's just the exhaust, which, let's be honest, most of us will never ever see again. The engines are moulded quite nicely. Now, this is a part of the mould that's a little bit older. This has been around for a while. This is sort of frame A, so it's been around a lot longer through all the variations of the V3000, including this later one with the half track. So some of these parts are showing a little bit more flash in the process. If we look on the rails of the chassis rails here, you can see there's more flash on the top and the sides. These are just molds that have been used a lot more than the new parts for the cab and the half track tracks and so on and so forth. But even then, yeah, steering wheel looks fine. Going to be a bit tricky getting that out nicely in one piece, but yeah, that's manageable. These parts again are going to be tricky to get off the frame cleanly and without breaking anything. If there is one thing about ICM kits, sometimes some of these smaller parts are a little delicate to get off the frame, and you do have to be careful with them. But generally, once they're off the frame and tidied up, they are remarkably good. Very, very fine fitting and things like that, generally speaking. It would be fun to make this to find out. Again, just sort of these half pipe sort of connectors showing up there. That's probably not part that's used in this kit anyway, but you can see how it is. Jerry cans, again, they're very nice. As I say, towards the middle of the frame here, there's a little bit more appearance of flash around some of the parts, mold lines and things like that, but none of it's insurmountable. I don't think anyway. I think most of it is achievable. But yeah, you don't want to mess around with some of these parts. There's not a lot to them, so they're relatively clean. And finally, we're having a sort of closer look at the wheels. There is a noticeable mold line between the two halves of the wheels. I guess that's kind of inevitable. I mean, again, this is a frame that's been used for quite a long time. Only two of these wheels get used on the current kit, of course, because the back wheels were removed in order to add half track to make it more amenable to rough conditions. I don't think sanding down that mold line is going to make too much of an impression. It might give a slightly used patch in the middle of the tyre, but you know, it's wartime. That's not surprising. That's where the weathering is going to go as well. So I don't think that will be too horrendous when they are cleaned up. So yeah, we can see the tyre treads are nicely moulded, but there is a central mould line that does need to be cleaned off. The decal sheet is minimalistic, of course, as it should be, I guess. For these, there's not a lot on these things to make decals for. Obviously, the instrument cluster is one. The registration plates, license plates, are another, and there's some sort of military things here, symbology that goes on. But otherwise, not very much of it. It all looks very clean. It all looks nice and sharp. So on a kit like this, I think these are absolutely more than adequate. I mean, it's black and white. You know, the colours don't need to do much, but the registration looks very good with the black and the white. So that's really all you need to ask for, really. And there to confirm it, nice and close up. This is our famous 0.5mm pencil lead here. This is way under 0.5mm thick. This text, the lines of these text, and looks absolutely crystal to me. Here in white, it's not always great to try and get white to look sharp, but these do. These are absolutely crystal. I'll just move these along a bit, and you can see these lines here, these sort of datum lines that go on the front fenders and stuff. They are absolutely lovely. Very, very smart. And the instruments, again, the registration is good, the sharpness is good. Yeah, very, very happy with those. The instruction sheets, very, very much of the current ICM standard. Nice full color reprise of the box artwork here. History of the vehicle that appeared on the side of the box here, again in English and in Ukrainian, and some basic specifications as well. The color callouts are using ICM paint numbers. Most of these are absolutely fine. There's no need to change any. If you do want to change them, then it's fairly easy to change ICM color callouts to other things. And of course, there's all of the symbology translated for you as well. On the inside, there's the parts frame map, and you can see here the map shows there's a lot of parts, like the cab here is different because it's a simplified cab. That's the whole point, well, one of the points of this kit. The other point, of course, is the half track, which means that a lot of these wheel components and rear suspension aren't needed. Likewise, the transmission and exhausts are different, which is why they're on the frames, because you can make many versions with basic frames. This particular version has the additional frames of the track and the simplified cab with its own transparencies. And then the instructions are, again, very ICM, very simple, straightforward, step by step by step. You know, I've made kits from these guys before, their vehicle kits, and I found the parts have fitted correctly and really easily, and it's been easy to follow all of the steps. You know, they seem to have a very good logical way of putting these together, which is excellent. There's the, frankly, to me, very frightening link and length. If you're, if you've made armor before with this system, I'm sure you're looking at going, oh, that's really actually quite simple. To me, it looks a bit scary, but then, that's quite new to me. Cab, very, very straightforward, very easy. Everything looks good. Various versions of the fenders here, where you can, front fender, you can cut the running board pieces off on some versions and trim them down maybe. So there's all sorts of variety here to make the final product. And then, of course, the reason why they have full color print on the outer two sheets, of course, is that then you can have the color schemes. A vehicle from 1944 somewhere, the 1944 camouflage version, and then the 1944 winter version with its sort of mottled colours, where the hastily applied white paint, I guess not much dissimilar to whitewash, is beginning to wear off on various bits through weathering and use, which is quite an attractive look actually. So that is the instruction booklet. So there it is. If you've enjoyed the video, please let me know by giving it the imperial thumbs up on the like button below. And to support the channel at no cost to you, make sure you've subscribed. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.